and get automatically stocked on the shelves. Super cool! We did it! Haha! That is 2 builds, essentially, out of 1 machine. We're making copper bearings and bronze rivets all out of 1 machine. That was my idea, and I'm glad it worked in the end. Welcome back to Alchemy Factory, everybody. In the last episode where we left off, I was building the Jupiter relics and ramped up production on those, so we do actually are able to sell them in the store now. I had one in here, and it has already sold, so we're going to have a good day. We're going to make a lot of money. I did have to upgrade my coin line. It was just completely backed up, and we were getting no movement on the belts at all. Like, all the coins were full. So because of that, it was starting to back up into the cash register, and the cash register was staying full. So in order to alleviate that, I bumped these bank portals up to put stacks of 2 silver coins at a time. So we've effectively doubled the amount of coins on the line, and now our register is not staying full. That's no longer backed up, so that's working well. Today, we need to start working on a couple of things. Let me go into our research tree here. We're going to start working on copper and bronze. Copper is going to be made from copper powder. We're going to turn that into copper ingots. I've already researched it. I already researched several of these. And to do that, we're going to use a refiner. To increase our copper ingot production, we're going to turn those ingots into copper bearings and sell those in the storefront. I think also today we're going to use the enhanced grinder, which is basically a regular grinder that is double the speed. I think we're going to use blast furnaces today too, and these are essentially 4 of any regular furnace. I will show those. And then we're also going to make bronze today. Copper powder can also be used to make bronze. So we're going to make bronze and turn those into bronze rivets. So quite a lot going on today. I will start with the new blast furnaces. Let's take a look at those real quick and compare them to the other furnace. And it is essentially, you can stack 4 regular furnaces, so it takes up the footprint of essentially 4 regular stone furnaces. It does use about 4 times the amount of fuel. So if you look at this, heat consumption speed 8 per second, and these are 2 per second. So it's effectively the same footprint and uses the same amount of fuel. But if you take 4 of these and stack them next to each other, you're limited on things like, what is this thing? Not the shaper, the Athenor? Doesn't quite fit neatly onto these. You know what I mean? We're going to build something with them today. So I'm thinking moving forward, we may start working with these blast furnaces a little bit more, because you can get more on it. It is technically bigger than 4 stone furnaces. Plus, it's easier to feed fuel in to 1 spot versus trying to feed 4. So let's delete all that. Today, we're going to work on this copper. So copper is going to be made in our Athenors, copper powder. All right, so we need to feed this iron sand and soap powder. Well, soap powder is pretty easy. You just grind soap. Iron sand is fairly easy too. You just grind iron ingots in a grinder. You're going to... Let me actually... Well, it'd be easier just to show you guys with the blueprint I've got. I've already designed a couple of these blueprints, so we're going to start with these copper. I've got 2 different ones. I've got one that produces just copper ingots, and I'll go over that really quick. And then I've got one that produces copper and bronze ingots out of the same machine, essentially. The same footprint, the same machine, and it's just using 2 different methods. So this is 3 stone furnaces, and then all this back here is literally just blocks to get the belts and everything, so we can make this kind of tight and compact. But we're going to have 2 Athenors on these, and 4 crucibles. So the way this works, we feed in our iron sand. We have 2 inputs, iron sand and soap powder, in right here to the Athenor. So the Athenor is going to take, let me move this. move this guy out of the way so I can show you this one a little easier. Cut it, move it, there we go. And we're going to have the outputs come out, both outputs. So this is producing copper powder and impure copper powder. All right, we're just going to take all the outputs. It easily fits on one belt. We're going to run it into a splitter. All right, we're going to take our copper powder along the top rail. It's going to drop into a crucible. Same thing on this side. Copper powder runs up through a belt to a crucible. Pretty easy, right? Now, the impure copper powder is going to run on the bottom belt, and it's going to run into this new refiner. The refiner is going to turn that impure copper powder into copper powder. It refines it, right? And then it's going to run into its own belt. You can just barely see it underneath there, and it's going to feed into a crucible. Same thing on this side. We have our impure copper powder going into this refiner, and it is then feeding into this crucible. So we have 4 outputs all getting their own crucible. This will produce at base speed 15 copper ingots per minute. The copper powder goes into the crucible and it turns it into ingots, right? At base speed, this produces 15 copper ingots a minute. But you got to feed it a lot of iron sand and a lot of soap powder. All right, so the other design is slightly different. Instead of refining the impure copper powder to get more copper ingots out of it, I decided I realized you can just turn that impure copper powder, so it's essentially the exact same machine, we're just not using the refiners. So on this one, our copper powder is going to be the same. It's going to feed into these 2 crucibles right here. We're going to get copper ingots out of these 2 crucibles. The impure copper powder is going to run along these lower rails here, lower belts, and they're going to just directly feed into crucibles, and that's going to produce bronze ingots. All right, we're going to turn our copper ingots into copper bearings and our bronze ingots into bronze rivets. We're going to do all that today. I am not going to use this machine. I designed it. It works. I've tested it. It works great, but instead of just producing copper with the same footprint, I thought it would be better. Oops, that was not delete. I thought it would be better instead of just producing copper, we could... That's not right either. Dang it. I am struggling today. There we go. Please don't delete the floor. Instead of just producing only copper ingots out of the same footprint, we can now produce copper and bronze out of the same machine. And the math on this is we get 10 a minute copper ingots and 10 a minute bronze ingots. That's at the base speed. Our speed is doubled right now, so we're effectively getting 20 of each out of this machine. So we're going to feed fuel in from here. And I should probably set up something for fuel. Probably do it like this, and I think we'll feed it with coal. Nope, I'm going to need to grind that coal. So I need to leave a little bit of space here for coal to be run through some grinders. Let's back it up to here. And I probably ought to back up this whole thing now that I think about it. So we're going to feed this with coal in the back. I'll figure out how to do how to set that up in a minute. We're going to need a grinder and coal for that. And then now we need to figure out our inputs. All right, we've got our outputs. This is going to be our outputs coming out this way. And what I'm thinking of doing, I've got a blueprint set up for this as well. This is going to be our... I need to redesign it slightly because it's not what I want anymore. And it needs to... Yeah, I'm not gonna... I'm gonna set these up to make... I was fooling around with the idea of making copper coins with these, but the math doesn't work very well. It's not efficient, and you end up spending more. I guess I should... Let me back up a bit. In the research tree are copper coins you can unlock, and you craft those with copper ingots, and I thought that would be really cool to be able to make our own money, right? But the math doesn't work out. You spend way more in resources than you get profit out of it. So it's not profitable to do. And it makes sense. I did fool around with the numbers a little bit to see. So I need to delete all of that, actually. Because we're going to reroute this. So now instead we're going to make our copper bearings right there. And then these two are for our bronze rivets. All right, and they're essentially just going to match up with these outputs right here. I'm going to take these two lines, feed it into those two processors, and these two lines and feed it into these two processors. Okay. But we need to, let's consider our fuel to come out just in case we want it to run to other things. So we need to leave room to get our inputs in. Yeah, we need to get our inputs in. So we're going to need to leave some space for that. Probably going to need the lab stand up over all this just to be sure. So let me just do it like right now so that it's done. And I'm definitely going to need some blocks here for belts, because we're going to need to feed in sand and soap powder. And I got a couple of designs for these already. I need stone to finish that. I'm out of stone. I will craft a little more stone right here. Let's just grab it all. All the stone out of that. We'll craft some more. I'm using a lot more stone lately, I've noticed, but that's fine. It's the same as using... Did I not grab it? Oh gosh, I put it all in the box instead of taking it out, didn't I? I did. Take all, not merge. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Alright, now I've got plenty of stone for this. And I'm going to try and squeeze it in like right here. Can we do that? Or should I put it on this side? Let me get it down and look at it first. Oh, you know what? When I designed this, this is actually going to be our fuel right here, so we don't need this. I've already designed fuel. I sure did. I sure did. Okay, so let's get rid of this, because I'm fairly certain we will not need this for fuel. Oops, that is one square over too far. Let's delete right here. Yep, like that. Now, however, when I designed this blueprint, I goofed. I didn't leave enough room. I'll talk about this blueprint in just a second here. Let's get our belt out with fuel. There it is. There's our fuel line. All right, so we'll just send that out. We're going to need to lab stand over that. And then just block it up. And we're going to get our advanced grinders there. Okay, so the math works out on all this as we're going to feed fuel in right here. Coal, like I said. Turn it into coke powder, fuels all the machines. Okay. We got to feed iron into these smelters. And this is the blast furnaces we're using on this. You can just see it right here. It's 3 blast furnaces, and each blast furnace has 4 iron smelters. So we're going to feed our iron in the back. I am going to delete these stairs right here. I will be redesigning them later anyways to be more like this stairs. So we're going to need to feed coins down to here for our inputs. It's just going to use a purchasing portal or 2 or 3 to buy the iron ingots, feed it in here. It is fueled from this side down. And this is going to take and make our iron ingots. Our iron ingots are going to come out this bottom line right here. And then it's going to feed into these set of enhanced grinders. All right, these grinders are going to produce 2 a minute at base speed. Our speed should be 4, I believe. But anyways, this is enough to feed this machine. All the iron powder that it needs. Iron sand, I think is what the game calls it. Yeah, iron sand. So it's going to grind our iron ingots. This right here is going to be enough to feed this machine. So I kind of need to think about belts and how I'm going to do it. Now I lined up my belts to... I didn't line up my fuel to match. But I did line up the front face of the machines to match. So this is fine. I probably, once I get all this done, I will copy it all, smash it closer together, and then move it to where I want it. I'm just kind of feeling out how it's all going to look. So we're going to need to get inputs out of this. So we're probably going to need plenty of blocks across the front. I'm glad I grabbed all that extra stone. Alternatively, I could be using wood for this, but I'm going to use stone. Now, how do we want all the inputs to come out? So, I got to look at the numbers again. Let me think about this, because we're going to have 10. Yeah, because this is going to produce 40, 10, 20, 30, 40 ingots at base speed in each one of these. So that's 10 grinders. to grind 40 ingots per minute. The thing is, I've got 3 sets of outputs, and what I need is 2 inputs. So I kind of need to figure a way to merge these into 2 lines instead of 3 lines, is what I'm coming up with here. Oh, end of day 124. We sold a relic in the shop, so that's 30 silver coins. Plus our dispatch portals are making us plenty of money. Plus the shop itself. Probably made... How much money did we make? Come on, get to the end. 50 plus 168, so over 200,000 coins easily today. That's pretty nice. If we're able to constantly generate 200,000 coins a day, we're doing pretty good, I think. All right, let's get all of these the same to match now. And then we'll run this belt into that, like that. Put a lab stand over it and run this belt into there. Yeah, I like that better. So we're going to lab stand across, like that. And we'll run these over and into that, over and into that. All right, so now that we got 3 outputs, and I could drop it to the floor and run it across, or actually, it's already at the right height. So what we really should do is just run these into this machine, find a way to do that. But that's that machine. This is going to be our iron sand. Now we need soap, right? So soap is, I've got is made from linseed oil. We've built soap before. I could copy the machine I have downstairs making soap, but it's one of the older designs, and it's not using these advanced nurseries, or not using advanced fertilizer like this one will be up here on this floor. We're making advanced fertilizer. Speaking of advanced fertilizer, I need to grab it and send it along this rail if we're going to be using it. Let's just run it down to, I don't know, somewhere in this area is where we're going to be using it. So we need linseed oil. That's made from flax. And I probably should buy some seeds for this. I'm just trying to think about my inputs and outputs. Doesn't really matter how I put them, does it? Let me just kind of squeeze it over here. Let me get over on this side. We've got space over here. We'll do something like that. And that means I actually don't need these belts to go quite that far. Something like that. And that's going to be half of what we need. I essentially should double the machine up to like this, because these produce 1,500 a minute linseed oil, and we do need to go buy 8 seeds for this, for flax. There we go. Now I've got my advanced fertilizer going down this line to feed all of these nurseries, and this is what we need. We're going to need 8 of them total, with the 2 extractors for each nursery. That's going to feed our flax into these. Now let's get our pipes for this, because we're going to need to send all of this into a blender. Let's get it. Come on, work with me now. Come with the right way. Let's go down to here. Oh, I don't have enough iron ingots. I've got a bunch up here I was storing for just such emergencies. Extra building materials. There we go. So I did toy around with the idea of not making everything on site and grabbing the iron and soap that I needed downstairs. But then I was like, no, that's lazy, and it would be tedious to have to go downstairs, grab soap, come up here, feed it in the machine. Go downstairs, grab iron, feed it into the machine. So I didn't want to do that. So instead, we're going to do it like this. And this is going to feed... how many of these? Oh, I don't have a blueprint for this. Blender. You know what? The other thing I wanted to try that I've never used are these flasks. Like, what would that look like? Because this just stores our liquid in it. Kind of give us an idea of what's in the machine. That looks cool. That pipe right there is being funny. Like that. That's what we want. But it kind of gives us an idea of how much is stored in this, I guess. Plus, it looks cool. All right, now we need blenders. All right, blenders. So to make our soap is made in a blender. We're going to need, let's give it 1 square. 1, 2, 3 for that line. And then same thing over here. 1, 2, 3 for that line. Our soap is going to come out here. Let's do something like this. Well, it needs to go that way, doesn't it? Yeah, it needs to go that way. So let's take it to there. This one can feed out like that. This line can run right next to it. A little something like that. That's going to feed our soap. Well, no, Jimmy. No. You need to grind this. Don't forget to grind it. I don't know that we need the advanced grinders, but I'm going to use them because we got them. Is that going to fit? That's not going to fit there. Do I need that much space? Because I need... These can move back a square. Okay, it took a little fiddling, but I finally got them both set up. All that's good. Now, we need to... That's our linseed going in. All right, that should all be filling into these machines. We got to set the recipe. That's right. Soap. Let's copy that recipe and then paste it into each one of these. We'll do it like that, that, and that. There we go. Now that's going to make our soap. Now we need grinders to make this into soap powder. So, this is a little bit in the way. Can we squeeze them in right here? We cannot. I don't even know that we need those grinders. How much are we going to get? 20 a minute base speed to 40. Let's set up the plant ash. How much plant ash do we need? 60 a minute base speed, 120 is our speed. So I'm going to need... I wonder if I could do this with blast furnaces. And we're going to need crucibles. We're going to burn sage in this. How many crucibles would we need? Ooh, we need a lot. Like, a lot. I wonder if we could do something like this. Do we have the belt speed to do something like this is the question. And that's not the right number of them anyways. So that would feed 1 blender, 2 blenders, 3 blenders, 4 blenders. Yeah, that's not going to work. We're just going to use regular stone furnaces for this then. I think that's what we'll do. So we'll essentially just copy this right here. And build it out over here. So we're going to need to fuel it. We can run it off of that same fuel line. And we need 1 for each blender. We got 6. Oof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those could stand to move back a square so that we can feed it into our plant ashkin correctly. Into the belts. So let's copy that. Let's push it back a couple squares. Something like that. That means we're going to need to take fuel in from right here. And this should still be enough fuel. If it's not, we can add more fuel at the end of the machine, at the beginning of the machine. We're going to need to delete those. They're going to be in the way. Probably to right there. Alright, so our fuel is going to come in like this. If it's not enough fuel, we can add another fuel machine on the end of this just to feed more. But with any luck, that's enough. It may not, but we'll find out. So then each one of these is going to be fueled by a... Let's do nurseries. Oops. I grabbed that in the wrong place. And then... Oh, you know, it actually would be faster if I had done all this and then copy and pasted everything. Just build one and then copy and paste it. This way it's all in the same height. I don't even have to delete that, do I? I can just go copy that, hit confirm, and just duplicate it all the way across. And so what I think I need is 1 nursery for each one of these. So, nursery. I actually need 1 more square. Do I need 1 more square? No, that'll work. Oh, they match nicely. All right, that works. Like that, and like that. And each one of these is going to be sage. Now, could we make this a little more compact? Probably. Probably. We certainly could. I do kind of like this linear look to everything flowing in one line. But you could certainly, like, take half this and snap it into the back so that it looks a little neater. In fact, I may do that. There's no reason I can't. This game, it makes it so simple to move stuff around, copy and paste everything. Let's do this. This is going to actually look cooler, actually. And then we need to leave... Ooh! Not quite enough room. Not quite enough room for our belts. Yeah, because we need to feed... Dang, we're 1 square short. Let's just bring everything out a square then. Let's grab this half. Let's cut it. Oop, I hit Y, not T. Let's bring it forward towards me a square, so then our fuel will now feed in like that. And now we have a space in the back for our fertilizer to come in. So we're going to take our advanced fertilizer belt back here. And we'll take it here because our fuel's going to need to come this way to feed this. That's our fuel for our machine. Now, just block all this up. Yeah, just block it all up. And then have one belt feed it all. Why is that not... Oh. There we go. Is that the correct height we want? Yes. So we need one lab stand right there, and we're going to take a lift. We're going to take our fertilizer from there up to that row, put a couple blocks in, one belt all the way down to feed all of these, and then send that in like that. Now that's going to produce all of our plant ash. Now we just need to get the plant ash out of these machines into these. So essentially, we know each one is going to feed one blender. So in theory, we should be able to grab all this off the line, snap it in right there. That's going to get to those 3 blenders. Take everything from this, snap it in right here. That's going to be those 3 blenders. Now, we probably want to get this a little closer so that it looks cooler, and it's going to be neater. So let's take a belt like this. That's going to be our sage from back here. It's going to need to come about like that. And I'm going to copy and paste all this and move it over. I did not need to start feeding it fertilizer quite yet. Let's delete all this. And what we're going to do is pick it up and move it, and we'll just have to... We're going to have a bunch of sage in our inventory, but that's okay. We can sort that out later. Let's grab all that, and let's hit T to move it much... Oop, end of day 125. Yeah, we made about 200 silver coins that day, 200,000 copper coins. That's impressive. All right, so we're going to want it actually really close to this, like right here, because we need to leave room for our fertilizer to come from there, like that. Yeah, like that. That's how I want it. Now, let me get rid of some of this stuff I've got in my inventory now. Because when I picked it up, I grabbed all the fertilizer out of the machines. We'll just feed all of the fertilizer I've got. That's all the fertilizer. This sage is just 60 sage. I'll just throw it away, probably. All right, and that needs to go into there like that. Now we can adjust the rest of these machines to get nice and neat, a little compact. But first, we need to get our outputs out of here. So this is going to be a little bit cramped, but let's just use some blocks. We need one there, one there. Let's go across. And then one more. We're going to take all this output. to the end. Yep. Just take it all out like this. We're going to put lab stand there, and we actually want it to snap into this line right here. So we want it to pay out that direction. And we're just going to use blocks. Run that line all the way into there. And that's going to feed our plant ash into this machine to make soap. Now we need to do this. Now we need to do the same thing on this side. There we go. That is all done. Now we could probably squeeze this in a little bit closer right here. Trying to compact all this a little bit. I don't need anything else to go into this. I do need to get the soap into this, but that's okay. Just copy that. And let's go... I want to leave a little bit of room. Is it going to be weird if I snap it in like that? Let's leave one square in between them just to make sure I've got enough space. Yeah, just to make sure I've got enough room for everything. And then same thing right here. Let's grab this one all the way back to here. Hit T to move it. And, ooh, I can't see. It's so big. It's too big to see. Where's my belt? That's what I need to line up. Make sure I line up my belt like that. We're going to leave a space. Has errors. What's the error? Overlapping with other devices. What's in the way? Oh, crap. There's two belts. Just delete those. And then if we hit B and hit R, it'll bring up the last blueprint we had. And we'll snap that in. I'm going to leave a square in between them, just in case we need to get in between or do anything. I don't know. We may need to kickstart some of this with fuel. We'll see. All right, that's that. Now we need a crusher to fuel this with our ore. Let's just stick it right... We've got room to do it like right here. We'll need a purchasing portals back here. We've got plenty of room for that. We're going to have our coins run in to feed all that. Okay, that's good. That's good. Let me work on some of that stuff. And then we're going to move this over to here, snap it in. That is our iron sand coming in and our soap coming in. That's all of our inputs are done. Now we need to get the outputs to this machine. We're almost done, guys. Okay, just about ready to finish this up. I added my grinders in for our soap to turn it into soap powder, and we really only need one output for each of these, or one input for each of these machines for this soap. So I'm just gonna feed it on belts. You know what actually would look better? I just thought of? Let's do this. It's a little expensive using nails like this, but there's no reason we can't. Let's pick this belt up, input it from there, and just run it along the same space. So that's going to take our soap powder out on the bottom and on the top. They're basically in the same line. So now I just need to feed them into both of these machines. The bottom line can run to this one. So we'll run the bottom line all the way out to here. And actually, I think I want it right here instead. To that one. And then, so that's going to be that line. And then the second one, we'll need a lab stand over to right here. And pick it up. Alright, that's all of our soap powder. One for each machine. Boom. A lot going on, a lot to get it all up and running, but I think this is going to work well. I probably should start feeding this fuel. I'm thinking about this, and let me get all these machines like primed and prepped, so to speak. So we're going to need coins to feed in all of this. I can just copy and paste each one of these coin belts like that. That's going to buy our iron. Why is that not feeding into there? Did I not set it up correctly? Yep, I got it backwards. That's why. That'll do it, Jimmy. Now we copy that into there. That's good. I need to delete that one too, don't I? Copy it. Like that. Very good, very good, very good. And then we need to snap this in for our fuel. I'm going to give that a minute. I want like everything else to kind of fill up first. Our sage is primed and ready. Our flax is primed and ready and going. So let's get our inputs going first. So we need, yeah, fuel. I just need to kickstart all this with fuel. In fact, I've got a bunch of coal and stuff in my inventory. Charcoal powder from something I was working on. Let's just go ahead and feed a few of these and get them all kick-started with fuel so that it's all up and somewhat up and running by the time everything else makes it down the line. Yeah. Do the same thing. Well, I don't need any fuel in that yet. It's not ready. Now, we'll just snap this in so that this turns on to start buying our coal. Give that a second to feed through all the lines, and everything should be up and running then. We've got all of our iron ready to go. It is all in the smelters. There's our coal being crushed. Now we need to kickstart this machine right here. We'll feed it a little bit of coal as well, and that's going to start turning it into coke for everything, and I hope that's enough to feed everything. If it is not, if I get down here to the end, I should still be able to see if there's fuel hitting these machines, and if it's not, I'll just add another one. But that's that. That is all working. The soap is coming in. Now, lastly, well, not lastly, the last of our inputs, move that out of the way. We need to get this iron sand into these inputs. I need one right here and one right here. I really only need 2 outputs. So, is there a way to do this? Like, I could just run it all on 2 lines. The bottom into a line and the top into a line. And I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I'm going to change this slightly. Yeah, I liked the look of that. But now the question is that going to fit on a belt? It should. Our belt speed's 120. So now we'll have all of that going that way. And let's lab stand over it all. And then let's have this all flowing in this direction. Like that. Yeah, that should work. Now I've got extra iron sand in my inventory from picking all that up. So I might as well just dump it into the machine for now. Let's figure out these last 2 belts. They're already at the correct height, so essentially I just need to create a path for them to get there. Like that. And then lab stand over these so that this belt can continue along this line right here. We're going to run it to there. And yep, lab stands. Let's make sure our outputs reach where we want them. And we just want to take this. We're going to pay it into there from the top. And we'll put lab stands across the top. There we go. That's all of our ingots. Our ingots are already starting to come out of the machines. That's good. So everything appears to be getting fuel. Yeah, these are getting fuel. I did not add fuel into this right here, but this Athanor does have heat. It is getting a little bit of fuel down here. I'll just keep and monitor all this to make sure that the fuel is getting all the way back here. These are the ones that at the very end may not receive fuel, so I have to keep an eye on these. I guess for now I could kickstart it with a little charcoal powder, and by the time that burns out, hopefully some fuel will be getting down here. If not, we'll just add some more fuel at the end. Or at the beginning, as it were. Now, let's finally get our finalized outputs. Let's copy this. And, oops, not Y. I want to hit T. And we want to see if we can, how well we can line this up. It's not going to line up that well, is it? Because this machine is wider than the other one. But let's see if we can get it as close as possible. Let's go to right there. And all I really have to do now is lab stand and run them straight across. Blocks. This is using a lot of stone, I know, but there's tons of other ways of doing this. Alternatively, we could have stacked most of this vertically. I think you probably could have stacked with some lab stands on top of this and built this machine on top of that machine. Might have been neater that way, I don't know. We could certainly have stacked these fertilizer nursery things for the flax. But yeah, you know, it's all to each his own, however you want to do it. If you guys are playing along at home, I'd love to see some of your builds. If you guys could find a way to share it with me, I would love to see them. I know several of you play the game, and you give me plenty of tips and things I missed or tweaks I could make here and there. I actually don't need that one, but it's there now. All right, so we're going to feed our copper in right there. Oh, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. I'm getting excited. Oh, no. I need one more square. Let's route it. This one to here. And then into that. And then the last one can go in like that. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. We're done. Ha-ha! Now we need storage boxes. So, should we take it to the floor for storage boxes? Why not? Do it like that, and then a storage box. I need a big one. Copy that. Aw, man. They don't quite snap into one box. So give it one square. And do it like that. Yeah, that looks good. Route that in. Route that in. There's our copper bearings. There's our bronze rivets. Now I guess we just need to sell these, right? And what I still need to come up with is a decent way of getting things from this floor down to the next floor. So probably need to work on that. Should come up with something. Let's see. We have space over here on a few rails. So let's just, I guess for now, we'll just put down storage boxes. Let's grab a medium one. Something like this. Can we stack them? Yeah, we could, but I'm not going to. This is temporary. All right, that's going to be for our copper bearings. This one's going to be for our bronze rivets. And now they should come in to our sales floor and get automatically stocked on the shelves. Super cool! We did it! Haha! That is 2 builds, essentially, out of one machine. We're making copper bearings and bronze rivets all out of one machine. That was my idea, and I'm glad it worked in the end. It was a little bit tedious setting all this up, I'm not gonna lie. We had to make a pretty big machines to get it all running, and I need to delete that right there, because there's no need for those belts, because we're not running it that way anymore. And it looks like I need to adjust that belt right there. How much money do we make on day 126? Hopefully another 200 grand or so. No, we actually lost a little bit of money today. Yeah, because we had to buy a bunch of coal and 150 iron ore. Yeah, that'll do it. Is that belt feeding? It looks like it is. Let me pick up. Yeah, okay, that's feeding correctly. All that's working. Is there anything we could tighten up? I think I just need to make sure that this stays fueled. Like it gets plenty of the coke powder all the way down to the end is the only thing I really need to keep an eye on and adjust is maybe how much fuel we add to this. Because I don't know of a good way to check the math on how much fuel. And alternatively, we may have been able to come up with a design that used the blast furnaces for this plant ash. Might have been neat. But this is just a simple way of doing it, and I wanted to keep it simple. But yeah, that's our build. That's all the time I got for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss a future build. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the video. It lets me know you enjoy the content and you'd like to see more. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.